We're live.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. We are live. Yeah. So hi everyone. So welcome to the another episode of the Azure AI Show. So today we have lots of information. So today I'm Pratap. I'm from India. So Solomon Jeremiah from UK and Frank
No.
follow me for Ireland. So here we Elvin from Nigeria and most the Dan Ray from Chicago. So, hi everyone, and welcome back to the Azure
Hi.
AI show. Yeah. Yeah. So today, we have lots of stuff about the Azure and the Microsoft products, and Dan and we Salman, and so we represent lots of information today. So I will take 10 minutes to explain about the much stuff about the Azure machine learning. So then probably we can go for the Salman, and Frank will explain the lots of stuff, and Elvin also do some stuff today. So then we can go move forward it. Okay.
Okay. Great.
Okay. So I just share my screen. Yeah. So I think my screen is visible to everyone, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is.
Before we are going to everyone, so please feel free to drop your queries, and we can discuss about the queries as well. Okay. So today we can, So before we are going to move forward, so I am associate consultant and evidence. So I'm an author, I'm a blogger, I'm a speaker. I hold the 7x Azure certified. So if you want to really reach out to me for any queries related to Azure, so feel free to reach out us. So we all are there for you. And today I'm going to represent you about the some basic stuffs about Azure ML Studio. So the everyone knows about the, so we have in Azure we have the lots of studios as well, and recently in the Ignite session they introduced the Copilot Studio as well. So like that only we have the Azure Machine Learning Studio. So the Azure Machine Learning Studio is a drag and drop tool for the building machine learning models, and yes, of course, so we have to use the machine learning modules by using the studio. And we have it is a cloud-based tool that used to build models from the scratch to use the pre-built models. And Azure ML Studio is a visual tool that requires a coding knowledge to use, and it is a great tool for the beginners and experts. Like yes, of course. So if you don't have any knowledge about this studio, you just go through and play around about the ML Studio. You have great opportunity to play around as the ML Studio. You have to learn lots of stuff about the ML Studio. You can create model catalogs and prompt engineering, automated ML, and you can create some. There are lots of updates coming recently this year in 2023. Machine Learning Studio will update a lot. Okay, so we have some key benefits, so it is very quick and easy to use. Yes, of course, so I agree to this one. No coding is required. Yes, of course. And pre-built models are available. So we have some pre-built models like GPT models and Lambda models and Hugging Face models and prompt engineering, automated ML. So we have lots of models are available. It is a cloud-based and scalable. Yes, of course, we these are the major key benefits of Azure ML Studio. Okay, now we can move for the architecture. So this is the basic architecture of this ML Studio. So here we need to here so main thing we need to understand about the machine learning is, so first we need to build one model, and then we have to train that model, and then once we build and train the model, then we can go for the validation. So the once the validation is completed, then we can go for the deploy that model. So and then we can monitor that model. So these are the four main steps that will be involved in the machine learning studio. The one is the build any model, and you just go for the train that model, and then we can go for the validation, and then you have to integrate any application. So what are the model that you have been integrate I mean developed in machine learning studio, you have to integrate in any application, and then you can go and monitor that what are the model that you have been that you have been created in the ML Studio. Okay, so these everything that will be happening in this machine learning studio. And we have some Kubernetes services as well, and some we have the multi clouds as well. So you can go and you can add this machine learning services in your point of view. Like so whenever you need to deploy your model in any application, like that way you can go and play around this by using this machine learning studio. Okay, and So these are the some use cases, like so predict the customer churn, so we are analyzing the customer reviews and detecting fraud. So is there any detect, I mean, frauds are coming, so we need to detecting the frauds as well. And optimizing and marketing campaign, yes, of course we are using for the marketing, so by using this ML studio. So while these are so ML studio will play the key role by using these marketing campaigns as well. And identifying the medical diagnosis, yes, so the identifying the medical diagnosis, it is a key. So it was very very fantastic. While so whenever we need to go for any healthcare, so even I think 4 months back, and Google and Microsoft and AWS, they all are focused on the medical diagnostics. So they try to accurate on the, so if the person is having the illness, or I like for example, let's see, so if the person is uh, going, how can we say that, the person is illness by the cancer and everything, so the AA will be detected that person is really having that illness or not. So the accuracy level will be detected by using ML. And so this ML studio recently we are combined in the build 2023, they are introduced the Azure AI studio. So the, I mean, we have the cognitive studio as well, and Azure machine learning studio, the combined they are giving, they introduced the one more studio is called Azure AI Studio. So we have the lots of use cases of Azure ML Studio. And so automated ML, yes, of course, this is a very 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 important topic in Azure machine learning, machine learning studio, machine learning. So we have in the ML, we have lots of automated ML. So for example, let's see, so this automated ML, for example, we have the metadata, we need to upload it into in the some blob storage or storage container anywhere. So we need to identify the some particular object. For example, the metadata is belongs to some kind of animals in the our planet. So I need only cat animals, cat species. For example, in the cat, so we have lots of species are there. So what I'm trying to do this, so I need to identify only cat species. So I just ask him to automated ML, I need only cat species. So this automated ML will be focused on the accuracy level. So like it will be like so accuracy level will be more than 90 to 95%. They will detect lots of species about the cat only. So they are focused on the different areas. So they focused on automated ML. For example, we have the infinity of data. So but this infinity of the data will be comes, and they will give you the rankings by 1 2 3 4 5 6 by like that only. So for example, every day we are see lots of cat species, so every day, so we have the pit cats are there, we have wild cats are there, we have different cats are there, but they identify that so the by using automated ML, so we can identify the cat species very easily. So by using this automated, not only I just given them an example, like so this is automated ML, I just given some example. I don't know so how many of you understand that, right? But I will share that screen, so when so if the time consistent, so I will share the screen, okay. And okay, so model catalog. So this is the model catalog. I will share the screen and then I will show you. Okay, so now Hugging Face and Whisper. So the Hugging Face and Whisper is the two different models. So the Hugging Face will be so you need to deploy anything, like so you need to deploy any model. So for example, you need to build and train the model in the ML model. You need to deploy into the Hugging Face model, or we have the Azure OpenAI Studio. So we need to develop any whisper model. So the whisper is mainly focused on the speech recognition. So for example, it will be uh, probably it will be mostly depends upon the speech recognition. For example, I'm talking about you guys, so whatever the output is coming for me, that will be analyzed by, I mean, that will be recognized by the whisper model, and that can be integrated in the OpenAI models, or wherever we need to deploy that models. Okay, so I will show you the what are the whisper models and Hugging Face models are we available in this ML model. Okay, so this is the machine learning architecture, like prompt flow. So the prompt flow is the very very important. We have the uh, after this one we have the lots of stuff about the prompt engineering as well. So whenever we have nowadays, we have lots of LLM models, like chat GPT, Bing, Bard, and Lambda. So we have lots of LLM models are there. So in the LLM models, so the key role will be placed is prompt engineering. In the prompt engineering, so everyone, for example, let's see, so when I just want to go for any chat GPT model or a Bing model or any model, so for example, I need to go to any chat GPT, so I need to ask like so what is Azure, so what is Microsoft, what is AWS, I just ask some kind of questions. So they will give you the that particular LLM model give you the response by using this prompt flow. So the prompt engineering plays a key role in this model. So for example, the prompt engineering, so all the companies, not only the OpenAI, the Microsoft, or Facebook, or so whatever the LLM developers, they are mostly introduced on, they mostly focused on the prompt flow engineering only. So that's why every LLM model will be focused on this one only. Okay, so that's why the prompt flow will plays a key role in the machine learning studio and everything. Okay, and so this is all about the some basic stuff. I just share my screen as well. Give me 1 second. uh, yeah, so this is the Azure workspace. So here we have to create some services we can go for and everything. So I just go for the Azure Machine Learning, and here, so I'm already, so if you want to create any workspace, or if you want to create any registry, you can go for the workspace, or you can deploy some models and everything, and you can go for the registry. You can store any something related to data and everything. You can go for registry as well. So I'm already created one workspace, that is ML Studio. So I just tap onto the launch studio, and share this stuff. Okay, so I just explain what are the features that will be. So in the, this is the machine learning studio. So this is the, so here, so we need some basic subscription, and then you can play around the ML studio. Okay, so this is the preview version of the model catalog. In the model catalog, we have, here is the lots of updation. This is the Azure OpenAI services will be there, and curated by Azure AI, and Meta, and a Hugging Face model, and NVIDIA. So NVIDIA, I think in the Ignite session also there is a commitment, there is a partnership between Microsoft, NVIDIA. They will give you the AI services to the Microsoft. Everything they will be developed. Everything. I think I don't know exactly. So Dan will be told that one, and Microsoft research and everything will be, these all are the some the deployment sources. So you need to go for these all are the main sources of model catalog. So we have the Azure OpenAI models, and the Lambda models, and the NVIDIA foundation models, and everything we have. And so the NVIDIA will be, I think 2 days back the NVIDIA model is not available. So now they will be deployed the NVIDIA model after, I think Ignite only they will be joined. This is Azure AI, and they will give you the they will give a source to the Azure AI. Okay, so we have the applied filters like so, and not only this one, so we have lots of features. For example, we need to create any notebooks. So by using, so the notebooks you are probably see in not only in this studio we have already seen the no, data bricks and data factories as well, and we have the automated ML. So this is the automated ML. So we just, you need to upload the any automated ML job. So they will give you the some alerts and everything. You just go through and go around this automated ML. So you just upload the some metadata. The finally they will retrieve that. So this kind of, so whatever the things you need, you just ask to this automated ML. They will give you the output as step by step, or ranking wise they will give you. Okay. So and designer as well. So we have the machine learning designer as well. You can go for the image classification, or binary classification, or wide and deep based recommendations, or regression, or prediction based. You can go all of the, we have the, you have to go for the designer. You can create the pipelines and everything. You just go around us, and we have the prompt flow. So in the prompt flow they will, so you need to deploy any model. For example, you need to create any model. You just to create any prompt flow models here, and you can deploy to any LLM model, for whether it may be like chat GPT or Bing, or so whatever it may be, a multi-cloud. You just to go through, you just to given this prompt flow engineering to any LLM model. So like that, this is the prompt flow and automated ML and the model catalog are the three major features will be, updated features will be available after build 2023. This place very this is the new features will be updated. So these are assets. So these are all are same, and so these all are the basic info about the machine learning studio. So but probably if the time consistent, I will show you the demo as well. Okay, and that's all for my side, and I would like to hand over to Salman. Is there any queries related to this session? Please let me know.
You say I didn't get that. You say is there any what?
Okay, okay, fine. So are you going to do right now?
Yeah. I'm taking. Yeah, great
Yeah,
presentation.
okay.
I would. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
okay.
great presentation. So
Okay,
I
thank you.
would be. I'll be continuing from where you stop, right? So today, what
Okay.
I'll be talking about is storage. And before I talk about
Oh,
storage, we know about machine learning. We're hearing about machine learning. We're hearing of AI. We're hearing a lot of this whole stuff. Now, if we
yes.
are looking at machine learning, we're talking about AI. We should always have this picture in our brain that we have data science. And when we have data science, we have the machine learning itself, and then we have the artificial intelligence. If we are all talking about AI and we know like the way we are seeing things from Ignite and all of that stuff, so we can see everything is going fast in when we are speaking of AI. So that should tell us that when we are training our data, we are talking of machine learning. When we are probably trying to build stuffs, we need to store them somewhere. So that's why today I'll be talking about storage in Azure. And if I'll be talking about storage in Azure, I would also just want to explain a little stuff, right? Basically, most of us, we might not be familiar with the cloud, right? And one thing we are familiar with the normal storage that we see. We have our hard drives. Most of us, we have our flash drives. We have storage in our device, right? And when we probably want to get this storage like these drives, you see that in the marketplace or wherever you're getting it from in the store, they have different prices. But for some people, when they're getting hard drives, when they tell them a different price, from their own view, they are looking at the price based on, oh, I'm probably getting a hard drive that is 500 gig. So if I'm getting the one that is 1 terabyte, it should be more expensive. But when we're looking at the physical storage, I always tell people it is more than that now. There are sometimes you probably want to get 256 SSD and it's more expensive than HDD that is 500 gig. So the reason why all of that is happening is still part of the reason you will still see when you're using storage in the cloud. You will see, oh, this one is for high performance, this one is for this. So when you're trying to connect all of those stuffs together, that's when you can also start connecting it with the cloud. So today with me, I just had to pull some of my hard drives. I have a lot. So we just look at how storage look like. Physical storage, let me start from this. This is basically the normal hard drives we know. So you can see this. I actually put this here. And the reason I'm putting this here is because if this drops on the floor, it is gone, right? I might not be able to retrieve my data because there's a disk inside of it that is spinning. So this is the normal hard drive we might have been seeing, and most computers, old computers, because recent computers, I don't think they put this. They have this kind of hard drive. So the next device I want to show you, you can see this. These are two SSDs, right? But before I show you these two SSD, I still have another drive here. You can see this looks like just the other one, but then this is SSD. There's no disks inside of this. This is just another drive. It has a SATA connector. And I have two other disks here. These two disks, they look almost the same, right? And you can see I don't even care how I'm keeping this. But the first disk, you saw I wrapped it because I know anything can actually happen to it. So if you're looking at this now, this is SSD and this is SSD. And these two SSD, they are not the same. This one, you will see people saying, oh, starter mount and NVMe, right? Because this one, when you're getting it, they'll probably tell you that when you want to copy files, you'll be getting up to like 3,500 MBs. Now, the reason I'm showing you all of that is because when we go to the cloud and I'm talking about storage, right? Just how we see the way our data is, that's how important it is in the cloud also, the way we save our data, the way we store our data and all of it, the way storage works in the cloud. We need to also understand that it is coming from how we see this physical device. It's coming from how we use these physical devices. So I'll be presenting my screen. I'll just do an overview of storage. And what I would be focused on will be more about the replication of storage in the cloud when we are storing our data. So before I just move, let me just try to um, I want to share my presentation. Just give me a minute. Let me move this. I need to move this here. Okay, let me share my screen now. Which screen am I going with? A lot of screens opened up. Okay, so yeah, so I'm going to just hit present now. Yeah, all good. I guess you can see my screen now.
Yes,
So,
yes.
so today I'll be talking about Azure storage, and I'll just try to touch a little things around storage before I get to the replications that we have in Azure storage. So when we are talking of Azure storage account, it contains all of the Azure storage data objects. And when we are talking of these objects, we are talking of blobs, files, queues, tables, right? The storage account provides a unique namespace for your Azure storage data that is accessible from anywhere in the world. That's why we need cloud. You see, like I just showed you my hard drive now. You can't access the file here, right? If I probably want to give you a file here, I would have to say, oh, wait, let me upload it to the cloud. Or probably I would just create a remote desktop. You connect to my computer. But then you can see with Azure storage, you can access your file from anywhere in the world. And you can access it over HTTP or HTTPS. So we have data. Data in your storage account is durable and highly available, secure, and massively scalable. So highly available is basically what my conversation is going to be around, because I'll be talking about the regions and how your data are replicated. So I think that's where I will be going towards. So now let's just see what we have in the next slide. So the next slide here is talking about implement Azure storage, right? A service that you can use to store files, messages, tables, and other types of information. So most people will probably be asking files, messages, tables, and other types of information. When we are talking about data, right, we have structured and unstructured data, right? And then we have semi-structured data sitting at the middle of it right there. So for structured data, right, most of you that work with database, you would see that you might be storing data in a database, and then you're using primary key relations, connecting one table to another, using SQL commands, creating unions, and all of that. Those are structured data when we're talking of data. And then when we are talking of unstructured data, you have me now on my computer. If you look at my desktop, I probably have a music that my friend sent me, a video that they probably sent me on WhatsApp. I just downloaded it. I have images. I just have all of those stuffs. Those are unstructured data. Then we have the semi-structured where we can create tables. Now, if we create these tables, basically what is happening with these tables in Azure is it's just like the normal table we are creating, but I will call it like no SQL because we don't really have relationship between the tables. Like we can just create them the way we want, put in the values and all of that. So that's where the tables comes in. So blob basically, you will see more about it as we are going to the next slide. So the next slide, I will just move to the next slide. So the next slide, you will see we have Azure containers, right? Azure container is basically just holding the blobs. And the blobs, you can see we have the images, documents, videos, audio, and all of that. You can store all of that in the blob. And then we have the tables, right? Now, these are the services you can get in Azure storage. So if you're using Azure storage, you can choose to use any of the services when you're creating your Azure storage. So we have the containers, and when we look at the containers, we can see the blobs are there and the files there. We have the tables, we can see name, email, photo ID, dates. Like you can just create a table and fill them. Like basically nothing about SQL is concerned with that. So we have messages, and messages basically you can also use it to handle queues. Probably you have messages that will be coming in and something needs to process that message later. Instead of holding that stuff, you can just allow the stuff to be running in the background and picking the messages. So we can use queues for that. And then we have files. Like file shares basically is for most of us that have worked with an on-prem environment where we have network drives, and with those network drives, you notice you can actually just map a drive to a computer and people can access files from that particular network drive. We can also do that with the Azure files. And you can see from the slide, it is showing manage files, manage file shares for cloud or on-premises deployment. So I would move to the next part of the slide. So when we're talking of Azure storage, this is the part where we talk about the kinds of the Azure storage. I will show you this in when I open my Azure portal. So basically, when you want to create any of this storage that you probably you're hearing me talking about file share, blobs, and all of that. If you want to create a storage account in Azure, you have to have the mindset, you have to have the, you have to know exactly what you're creating the storage account for. So if probably I have an organization and they say, oh, we need to create a cloud storage where we can map drives to users that will be working remotely so that they can work on the cloud and store their files. Yeah, I would know, okay, file should do that for me. File share, I will just map it. And the protocol is using is SMB. Yeah, it's fine. I can go with that. Or probably I just say, oh, I just want to create maybe like a website and I just want to put files there and get the link and just share it on the website. I can just say, okay, let me just go with blog. But now if you look at this particular slide now, we have the storage account type and the kinds that we can create. If you look at it, the first one is saying the standard general purpose V2. So if you look at that standard general purpose V2, you will see that once you create that type of storage account, you're going to see the blob storage in it. You're going to have the storage, you're going to have the queue storage. You also have the table, and then you have the Azure files. So once you go there, that's the general ones you see most people creating. That's why they say general purpose. You see most people creating that. So once you create that, in the cloud, you'll be able to use blob, you'll be able to go set up your queues, set up your tables, and then you can also go to files and you'll see all of that showing. So now the question is, what if we want to do some other stuff? Like now, I need to just use machine learning, just like what Pratap was saying earlier. I need to use machine learning. And if I am going to be using machine learning, there's going to be a lot of interaction, right, going on in that storage. I'm keeping images that I'm training. And when I'm training these images, people are trying to match these images like, oh, is this correct? Is this right? I need a storage that is fast. I showed you different storage and I told you there are different prices. And the reason they are different price, they have different prices is also because of their speed, right? So the same way with this, when I'm creating this storage, I have to put all of those things into consideration. For me, I'm someone that like playing online game. I enjoy multiplayer games. If I want to play an online game or I want to develop an online game and I'm working with some developers, if I want to probably store some files and I know once I'm storing those files, there would be needed, the transaction going on there would be high. Then I would look at it, I'll say, it is the block blobs that is the best option for me. Let me go with that one. I would not go with the general purpose V2 storage. So that's where all these kinds of storage come in. And then you will see we have the premium file share. For some organizations that want to actually do the network drive on Azure storage, and probably they want to just lift data from their on-prem to the cloud and all of that, they will consider going with this particular file share, the premium file share, instead of just going with the general purpose. We also have the premium page blobs. So for the premium page blobs, we create virtual machines in Azure. And when we create virtual machines, we have disks that are holding the OS. We also have disk that will probably just attach to the VM for storage and all of that. And those disks, they are managed by Azure. So if we are thinking of the underlying architecture that is actually enabling those disks to run, it is coming from the page blobs. And you can actually create your own digs using this premium page blobs if you want to. So that's where we have all these kinds of storage. So if you're probably coming up to set up your whole stuff in terms of storage, you have the options to choose from here. So I'm going to go into the portal, and we are going to see all of this in Azure portal as I'm going on. I just want to cover the slide. Yeah, so today this is actually where I was coming to. And what I'm about to explain is just basically why is our file in the cloud highly available? So that's exactly why I'm coming to this particular point. So if you look at this document here, I would love to explain this very well. And probably I'll be moving my mouse on my screen so I can explain it very well. So what is happening here is, earlier in this show, I spoke about regions in Azure. And when I was speaking about regions, I was saying we are storing stuffs in the cloud. And there's a popular joke that people make that the cloud is just someone else's computer, right? And the fact that we are storing stuffs in the cloud, it doesn't mean our data is hanging somewhere in the cloud, right? They are actually sitting in data centers that are owned by Microsoft. So Microsoft, they have data centers, and these data centers, they are in physical location, right? And the fact that they are in physical location, when we are trying to store our data, we have to specify where our data is going to, because the data centers, they are in different regions. We have East US, we have UK South regions, we have like a lot of data centers. And when you're also storing stuffs in the cloud, or you're moving your stuffs to the cloud, you have to put all of these into consideration. For storage now, if I am creating a storage account, I'm going to see these options, and I'm going to show you also in the cloud and in the portal. So when I see these options, you can see this first one, which is the LRS. What this is actually doing for us is basically telling us how our files will be replicated. And the LRS there is just local redundancy. Local redundant storage. That's what it is. So if we choose to use this, what is actually happening anytime you create a storage account and upload your file there is your files will be copied into three servers. Let me just use it. We have a data center and we have different racks, different servers. So if you're copying a single file to a data center, that file is not just going to be stored as one file in the data center. It will be duplicated into three. You'll have a copy of those files in three places. That's what is going to happen when you're using the local redundant storage. So now the idea is, I'm using a region, and a region can actually have multiple data centers. That means Microsoft can have 3 data centers in one region. And these data centers, it's not like next door data center. They are separated. But the idea is, each of these data centers, they have like servers and rack inside of them. And these servers, they have powers going into each of these servers, and also updates do go on these servers. But if you have your file now duplicated into 3 places or copied into 3 places, imagine that one of those servers is probably down, or probably there's an update going. You will still be accessing your files. Like, you're not using a different link or URL to access these files. You're using the same URL, but those files, they are replicated into 3 servers where you can easily access them. So that is what the LRS is doing for us, and it's actually the cheapest when we are using it. So if we're talking about the durability for this, it provides 99.119 durability in terms of percentage. That's what you're going to get from the LRS. But then what if we say, okay, we want our files to be, highly available. We want to get more from our file, the availability, we want to think of how we can increase it. There's what we have, which is the ZRS. So for the ZRS, basically what the ZRS means is zone redundant storage. So if you listen to it, we have availability zone in the cloud. And what availability zone means in the cloud is it just means we have more than one data center in a particular region. So this time around, we are creating our storage account. And as we are creating our storage account, we are thinking of, spreading our file, document, or whatsoever we are copying to the cloud into different data centers. So how do we do that? We can use the ZRS. So what is going to happen is, let me say I'm uploading my certificate to the cloud. That's Azure storage account. Once I upload that certificate to Azure storage account, it will be replicated on 3 data centers in that region. So remember, we are still in that region, but the files will be replicated in 3 data centers, and those 3 data centers, they are in that region. So that's exactly what the zone redundant storage is doing for us. So if we look at these two, right, the strategies for the replication, if we're looking at both of them, you will see that if, for example, we are using LRS and there's an update going on in one of those servers in that region, what is going to happen is that we will still access our file very well. If probably one of the server rack is down, we'll still be accessing our file. Our file will be very highly available for us. But let's think of something. What if that data center goes off? Then we can't access our file. So that's why we need the ZRS. So for the ZRS, we have our files in 3 data centers. So if one data center is down or anything is happening to the rack in that data center where our file is, we have 2 other copies of our files in other data centers. So what would happen? We'll still be accessing our file. So for our file not to be available, that means 3 data centers will be down. That's very hard, right? But we don't say anything is impossible. But that's how available our file is going to look like. But then once we've understood these 2 strategies of replicating our files, now what are we going to be thinking about? We are seeing something else on the screen, and it's talking about GRS. So for GRS is just, the full meaning is geo-redundant storage. So now I was explaining how we'll be storing our files on one region, right? One of the region is just with one data center and the other one is with multiple data center. But now, when we are talking of geo, which is the GRS, it simply means if I choose to use the GRS, my file in this LRS will be replicated to another region. That means it will be replicated to another data center in another region. That means if this data center is down in this region, I can have a failover that will point my access to the secondary region. So that's what the GRS is doing. But for the GRS, what you should notice is if you're using GRS, the primary location is going to be LRS. And the secondary location would also be LRS. That's what GRS is all about. And we have what we call read access. Read access simply means when you create this file and it is replicated to the other region, the secondary region, you can always have access to the endpoints where those files are in. So you can still access those files from the other regions. So most times, if you probably want to set up your failover yourself, you can always just use that to configure your failover. So for this part, what I just explained is the LRS, ZRS, GRS, and the read access. That's the ROA GRS. So that's read access for the geo redundant storage. Then we have the last one, and the last one here is the GZRS. So for this is geo zone redundant storage. So what is this actually doing? I explained what the ZRS was doing, right? So it is just us having the ZRS, and then our files from the ZRS, they are being replicated on another secondary region as LRS. So what you should take away from this is, if you're using GRS or GZRS, the secondary region will always be LRS. So that's what you should take away from this. If whether you're using zone or local, your secondary region will always be LRS. And the read access is still just the same thing like I explained. So this is just an intro to just what it looks like. So for me to conclude this, I will just log into my Azure portal. And when I log into my Azure portal, I will try to do a demo of what it looks like. So I'm just going to pull up my Azure right here. Let me do this. Yeah, so this is my Azure portal. So can I just, for visibility? Yeah, so this is Azure portal. For you to, excuse me, for you to gain access to this place, all you just need to do is you need to subscribe, and then you would have access to a lot of services. Now, when you have access to this place, depending on how your layout is, you can just come here, and this is storage account. You can create, you can also search for it, which is like the fastest. So if I say storage, so I can see storage account services. It is one of the services in Azure, right? And I can select it and then create an account. So I will just click on storage accounts, and then it's just showing me previous storage accounts that I have. So I'm just going to click create. So when I click create here now, when you want to use any of the services in the cloud, you need to have a subscription. So, and when you have subscription, we have naming your subscription and all of that. But what I want to do now, I just want to create a storage account. So I would select the name of the subscription, which the name of my subscription is Azure and AI Show. Then I need to select a resource group. So I'll just select my resource group as AI and Azure, and AI and Azure. RUG there is the resource group, just a way of naming my resource group. So I know that that's a resource group. Then now we have to name the storage. One thing you should note when naming storage accounts in Azure, the name needs to be unique globally. That's what the name needs to be. Someone said very tiny a bit. Can I increase this a bit? Let me do this. So I think sometimes why I don't increase it a lot is I just get lost with looking for some stuff. Yeah, so now what I will do with this storage account, I need to just give it a name, and that name needs to be unique. So AI and Azure Show, I hope this is unique, very unique. So this event is also unique. So now I have this name for my storage. Now, this is the region I was talking about. You can see we have different regions here, right? So now I'm actually picking UK South. So when you're creating any resource in the cloud, there's what we basically, I think, when we are talking of MS and latency, the time you travel to get stuff, it is very important. Most people, they actually, when they are talking about internet speed and all of that, they are just focused on the bandwidth, how it is, but MS is also very important. So why I'm saying that is when you're creating any resource in Azure, you have to also consider where the people that will be accessing those resources are going to be accessing it from. So this is my resource. I'm accessing it from the UK. So I'm putting it in UK. So it will be closer to me, right? I'm staying close to my data center. So now I'm going to select that. So when I select that now, you can see I have performance. This was what I was trying to explain. You would probably not see the other ones I listed on that slide, but you will see them now. But if you look at the performance now, I have the general purpose V2 account. That's what you can see here. So if I create this now, I'll have the blobs where I'll see that's the container. I'll have the table, I'll have the queue, and I'll have the file share where I can do some other stuff. But now if you look at this, standard. And then if I choose to say, oh, I'm going premium, now you can see the other guys I spoke of. So you can see the block blobs. This is for people that will be doing machine learning. They are doing online games, high transactions. Then we have the file share. And this file share, you're probably working in an office. You want to use SMB to map network drives, or you want to do file migrations and you need like a high performance, you can go with this. And we have the page blob. So for the page blobs, you can just use this to manage your own disks. So that's what this is doing. So what I want to be showing you here is just a bit of stuff. So you should now I want to connect this with the replication strategies I was talking about. So if you will look at now, I'm selecting the page blobs. Redundancy is basically the replication strategy I was speaking about. So if we look at this now for the redundancy for the page blobs, I think, okay, let me start from this at the top. So these are the redundancy I can choose. So that means if I am creating a blobs, that means this is what I'll be getting. I'll be getting the local redundant, which is the LRS. You can see lowest cost, that's the cheapest. And then I can have the zone redundant, right? So you can also see the description underneath. So recommended for high availability scenarios. So I can select any of these. So let's go to the next one, which is the file share. Remember, I'm still on premium in terms of performance. So if I come here, you can see the same thing is happening. You can see this. Now I'll go to the last one, and that's the same thing I can see here. So now I want to switch over back to standard. So when I go back to standard, you can see everything I explained, I can see them now. And the reason I can see this is also because you can see this is zone. So the region I'm actually choosing, that means we have multiple data centers in that particular region, the UK South. And if I choose to say, okay, let me go with this, right? I can choose to make the read access and I can choose not to. So I'm just going to create like 2 storage very fast and just show you what it looks like inside, and I'll be done with this presentation. So let me just try something else. I want to so I'm trying to see what I can get here. Now, do you see what I can get here? So this particular region, there is no availability zone there. That means I can only get one data center in that region. So the fact that I can get one data center in that region, even if the standard permits me to create ZRS, but because of the region where I'm creating this storage account in, I would not be getting the ZRS. So what I can get here is the LRS, right? And now the fact that I can get this LRS, if you look at it, I can also get GRS. I can't get the GZRS because the GZRS, one has to be zonal while the other one will be LRS. But the secondary region will always be LRS. So this is just more like replicating my files from the primary region to the secondary region. So that's exactly what this is showing me. So that's why I selected this particular location. So let me just go back to this, and when I go back to this, I have everything back, and I can do the ZRS, and I can choose to also do the zone redundant storage. So what I'll be doing now to end this show, I will just create this, and I will create it close to me again. I want it to be close to me. Yeah. So this is what I'm going to create now. So I'm going to select this. I will just go next, 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 next to the end. Why I'm going next, next, next is because there are a lot of other stuffs to explain in each of these tabs, and I would not be explaining it because of time. So we have advanced settings. So it means that when you're also creating storage, you can actually set up your security the way you want it. Like there are a lot of stuff you can do. You can see even the TLS version. I think most of you that you're probably using Microsoft products, you probably must have received an email, update your TLS to 1.2. So this is it. So this is already in 1.2 by default. So I'm not explaining all of this. I'll just go next. So this is just how we can access our storage. There's a whole lot that goes on in this place. I think I did a presentation where I was using the I disabled the public access, right? So you can actually control how you want your storage files to be accessed in this particular part. So for the network, this is another topic on its own, but it's always good to just understand the basic before you go in. So we have data protection. That's to tell you that even if by mistake you delete your file from the cloud, you can always get it back. We have snapshots, we have backups and different stuffs that you can use to get back your files. And we have the that's why we have the data protection there at the top. So there's a lot happening here. We also have encryptions, we have tags, and then we have review, which is where I'm going. Review is just going to give me like an overview of everything that I've selected. And I know most people would not want to look at this, but me, I always look at it just to be sure I have everything in place. So now I'm going to create this storage. So while I'm creating this storage, I think I would have just duplicated this. Yeah. So I'm just going to go in with this email. So this is deploying the storage I just created. So that was general purpose I created, and yeah, I would just come here. Oh, okay, this is fine. Let me just go to storage. I can create another one as long as the other one is running. Let me just create. So this time around, I'll be fast. I just go back to Azure and AI Show, and AI and Azure Show is no more unique. I've already used it, right? So, so these have to be unique globally. So I would use Azure and AI Show reloaded. So this is giving me the remembrance for matrix. So yeah, so I'll use reloaded for this. And let me just say, okay, let me put this in East US, and I'm going with the premium this time around. So I'll just say, let me take the file share. I can choose any of that. And then I can say, let me just go with this, and I'm just going to go to the end, and I just want to show you what it will look like when you're using the premium. So I'm just going to create this now. So while we are waiting for that, I'm going to resources. So I just clicked on go to resources. I can always come here and browse to, I can go back to the storage there and browse to the storage I just created, but this is what I want now. So I've created my storage account. So if you look at my storage account, you can see data storage. It has containers, file share, queues, and table. Those are just the stuffs I was talking about right now, right? So what I can do now is I can choose whatsoever storage data I want to use. So if I look at these containers, I can come here and just create a blob account. I can just say, oh, I want to upload images. I can just come here and create images. Oh, sorry. everything lowercase in this place. So, and you can see access level is set to private. So access level is another talk on its own, right? Because you can always change your access level. You can also change your access tier. So if I just come here now, you can see I have access policies, different stuff, change access level and all of that. And I can even come into this. So if I upload any files, they'll probably just be here, and I can change the tier also. So, but I'm just showing you all of these just because of time. But there are lots you can do. You can upload your files, upload your music, you can change the access level, and you can do the same for file share. So for file share, if I come here now and I just create, let me just say this is for Azure AI. Oh, I always make mistake. So I'm just going to create this transaction. You can see I can change the tier level. So this is just based on how you want your files to be accessed. So I'm just going to leave everything as default and just go next, next, and let me just create this. So you can see still in that same storage account, I have been able to create a blob for images, and I've also created this. So I'm just waiting for this to complete. So with this now, if I want to map this drive to a computer, I can easily map it now. I just need to click on connect, and there's this good thing about Microsoft. They already give you everything you need for you to connect it to wherever you want. You can change it to use storage key. You can use script. You just need to copy this script and run the script on the computer, and that's all you need. If you want to also access it from Linux, if you want to access it from Mac OS, you have all of that, and you can map this particular storage to your device. So that's for that. We have queues. We can create queues, tables. We can also create tables from this storage. Now, this is the general purpose, right? So I was just showing you this so that you can see all of these. And also, I know I'm not going to talk about a lot. You can also change your configurations here. We have options here, just in case you want to continue learning to see how you can enable access and all of that. You can do all of this here, but this is already grayed out. It is either it is standard or premium. You can't change this. So now this is my redundancy. So if you look at this, now I can see my primary location where my files are. So there's something I want to do. I'm going to click on this. So when I click on this, you can see the endpoints for this particular file. You can see I still have the endpoints for the secondary blob, and then I have the endpoints for the primary. And the reason I'm having this is because I selected read assets. That's why I am actually getting that. But if I change this now to GRZ, so let me just save that. Now I'm going to view my endpoint. So you can see I can only access it from the primary location, the primary regions. And you can see the primary and the secondary region. But now let me do this. It's gone. So my file is not going to be replicated to the secondary region. It's just the primary region because I'm using the zone redundant. It just means my files will be replicated among different it will be replicated in different data centers within the UK South region. That's what this means. So before I go, let me just look at this, what this looks like from the inside. So if we're looking at this from the inside, yeah, we can see that data storage, just file share. That's what I created this for. Nothing else, just file share. And if I come here, general purpose, everything is here. So for everyone watching, thank you for your time. at this point, I'm just going to stop here. And the reason I had to do this presentation on storage is because I know we are all talking about AI, but storage is actually very important. And it is also very important to understand how the Microsoft storage accounts work. So you can spend more time, read documentations. From here, you can carry on, learn about other stuff. There are a lot happening in storage that you would love to explore. And thank you so much for your time. And I would be giving the mic over to Frank. And Frank, I think you're good to go. Thank you.
Thank you, Solomon, for a wonderful session. Yeah, here we go,
You're
Frank.
welcome.
How you doing, guys? Just to point out there that like we've reached real global audience. We're actually streaming out through 4 LinkedIn profiles today, 3 YouTube channels. We've got Facebook, we've got Twitter, or X, some people call it. So we're really broadcasting through a lot of locations today. So I have a couple of things there, and they might kind of fill in some of the stuff that Solomon was doing there, and maybe give you a bit more oversight on some of the Azure regions. But first of all, I want to kind of cover some disaster recovery and how you can use Azure. As Solomon was saying there, if somebody is on Azure and they delete data by mistake, it's still there. You can get it back after a number of days. I'm not sure how many days that is, Solomon. Do you know? Is it 30 days or 10 days? Not too sure. Um, so look, I just share my screen there. 1 second now. 1 second. Takes a couple of steps. Share my screen. Yeah, if you can see my screen there, lads. Yeah. So, slideshow from the beginning. Okay, there's Frank Falvey. Can you see that there, guys?
Yes, 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 Frank.
Yeah, that's grand. Okay, my name is Frank Falvey, and I could run the Azure and AI show with Solomon Danray, Partap. We have Teresa. We've got a good few people, but I've been in the tech industry over 20 years and worked for different large enterprises. Got a few certifications along the way there, MCT certified, MCP, Azure expert, and a few CompTIA ones there as well, thrown in the Security Plus and the Linux one. So today I'm going to talk about disaster recovery in Microsoft Azure, how to protect your business with Azure Site Recovery. Just hide that one. So the outline of the kind of presentation is an introduction to Azure Site Recovery, understanding disaster recovery and business continuity, Azure Site Recovery features and capabilities, Azure Site Recovery deployment options, best practices for Azure Site Recovery, and real world cases. I'll kind of be showing you a kind of demo of the Azure regions then as well. And as Solomon was kind of going through there, you've got locally redundant storage and you've got globally I'll show you these in a minute, and the different data centers that would have local redundant storage, global redundant storage, because not all regions would have everything. Some would just be basic, others would have everything, depending on where you're located. So that'll be the demo at the end in all the regions. And then we'll have some questions and answers at the end. And I'll be handing over to Evelyn then. I think Evelyn has something for us then as well. So we'll continue. So the introduction to Azure Site Recovery, everybody needs to have a plan, like if something happens, like ransomware, or if a natural disaster happened, whatever, you need to have a plan in place. So Azure is actually a good thing to have, because we say if you had your on-premises and we say natural disaster like a flood or something like that, and all your servers got destroyed or wherever like that, at least with Azure Site Recovery, you've got it all in the cloud. So when you get your on-premises back up again, you can just fail it over again from Azure Site Recovery. Or you can use Azure Site Recovery as your primary while your on-premises is getting back up and going. So that's kind of having the plan. So this is kind of understanding disaster recovery and business continuity. This is kind of the graph where it kind of shows you the start here, pre-disaster. So everything was going nice and no problems, and then all of a sudden, bang, natural disaster or ransomware or something like that, or even human error, somebody deleted something by mistake and brought down your business. So the first stage of it is short time recovery, right? That's kind of where you might get something back in a few minutes, or it might just take a couple of weeks. Here in Ireland, we had our health system, which is called the HSE, got a ransomware attack, and it's over a year now, and everything is still not back. So that would kind of be the long-term recovery, where it takes months or years. So having a kind of a plan, disaster recovery plan, is very essential, really. And Azure Site Recovery is actually a good one, where you can just fail over all your data back on, and you're up again straight away. You wouldn't be looking at weeks or months. This could you could be back up in 24 hours, all depending on the actual size of your environment. Obviously, if it's a small business with a couple of employees or wherever like that, an accountancy office, you could be back up in an hour or 24 hours. With bigger companies, it could take you a bit longer. So definitely, a disaster recovery plan is essential. So this is kind of the architecture of how the actual Azure Site Recovery is set up. So you've got your source environment. This could be your on-premises, or it could be cloud to cloud. So up in the top of it there, it shows you Azure Site Recovery Vault. So that's where all your credentials and your logins, that's kind of kept separate from your on-premises thing. So if your on-premises goes down, your credentials are not connected with that, so they're totally separate. So on the right-hand side then is the target environment, right? So you could go from your on-premises to the cloud, which will be Azure Site Recovery. That's where you fail over all your stuff up to the cloud from your on-premises. So that's kind of some of the features of that. The next slide here now, I'll show you. So these are kind of different deployment options, right? So you could just have your private cloud to Azure, that's your kind of on-premises to the cloud, or you can have any cloud to another cloud. So you could have stuff stored in AWS and you want to back it up in Azure, you can do that, no problem. Or you can have Azure to Azure. So you could have, maybe I'm here in Ireland, so our Azure region is kind of Northern Europe, which is Dublin, and we might want to back it up over where Solomon is, which is close by. So that would be UK South, would say. So that would be Azure to Azure, and you can use either Windows, any operating system, Linux, VMware. So they're the kind of deployment options. So just moving on, this is kind of like best practices for the Azure site recovery. So you need to be testing your failover, so you have to replicate your stuff, fail it over, fail it back, make sure everything is working, don't take it for granted, practice it all the time. And this is kind of a view of what it actually looks like when you're testing your failover, whether it was successful or whatever. So it's good to monitor it, make sure everything is, create a plan. Maybe once a week, you might do a test on the failover and see if it's working or whatever like that. So don't take it for granted. Test, test, test. Check it out. Okay, so moving on here to the regions, the Azure regions. So I'm in Dublin. Well, I'm in Ireland, and Dublin is where our region is. So they have one data center, we'd say, in the north of Dublin, and the next one would be in the west of Dublin, and the other one would be in the south. So if something happened, any one of those availability zones, we say availability zone 1 goes down, your data is still safe. So it's in the other two ones there. Solomon was talking about it there earlier. Like if one of these goes down, it's in the other two. So the odds of three of them going down, very slim. But you could have it if you're really want to be safe, you could have it backed up to another region, as I was saying, cloud to cloud, Azure to Azure. So that's kind of how an Azure region is actually broke up. I think where Dan is in Chicago, we'll have a chat about that afterwards. I think they have a lot more. Their region could have, I think, 7 or 8, I think, Dan.
Yeah, it's at least that, if not more.
Yeah. So like Ireland is a small country, so we just have the bare amount to keep us going. So just moving forward on that, here is the kind of cross region, Azure to Azure. So the availability zone 1, 2, and 3, we say it could be the region I'm in, which is in Northern Europe, and the other one then could be where Solomon is in UK South. So that's the kind of cross-region replication. So that's kind of picture on that one. And to make things easier, Microsoft has paired all these regions to fail over easier. So, everything is run smooth. So if I'm, as you can see there where the arrows in the middle, I'm in Northern Europe. So if I am going to fail over, I could fail over either to Western Europe or UK South, where Solomon is. So Western Europe is the Netherlands, so which is not too far from Ireland. So when you're sending your data to another region, they're fairly close by. So it wouldn't really be practical for me here in Ireland to be failing over to the US, because it would take a long time for your data to travel backwards and forwards. So you pick a region close by. So that's kind of covers region pairs. just to show you the actual demo that I have here now. So I just have to, can you see the globe there on the screen, lads?
Yep, it's showing up.
Yeah, this is the one we looked at previously. Then it's a good kind of map, and gives you. We just go over as we were talking about Chicago, and we'll find it. So there's Europe. We kind of will move over to the US here. So I'll share this in the chat if anybody wants to kind of play around with this later. So then I think that Central US, is that the Chicago one?
Central US is Iowa, which is just west of Chicago, and North Central. It might be a smaller dot. There you go.
This
North
one here,
Central
North
is
Central.
Chicago.
Okay. So when you click on that dot where it says North Central, it'll actually bring you up to what's actually located in that region. So it was actually, it says here it was open in 2009. It's got an availability zone. It's got a disaster recovery, so it's got a cross region, and it's got the Azure site recovery, which I was covering there in the talk there earlier. So so you can actually click on some of the links there. I'll just click on this one just to show you some of the products that's actually in that region. And we'll go back to the demo then again. So yeah, so you can see down there in the middle all the stuff that is available in the in Chicago, in North Central US region. So it's got AI bot service, Azure Breaks. I won't name them all now, but you can look. It's got the machine learning there that Partop was doing earlier. Azure AI Vision, that's kind of getting a lot of attention at the moment. AI speech, so it's got lots of AI stuff in there, you know, so that's a very good one there. So just going back to where we were here, I'll just move across here just to show you, because I was talking about Dublin and where Solomon was in UK South. So I'll just zoom in on this one. So down on the right hand corner there, you get the zoom in buttons. So I'm just clicking into North Europe. That's where the region Dublin. So that was open in 2009 as well. And as you can see, it's got the Azure site recovery and region pairings that I was talking about. So I can pair up with UK South where Solomon is, or I can go to Western Europe, which is the Netherlands. And you can click in here to where the products are and whatever. So as I said, I'll post this into the chat and on LinkedIn, and people can actually go and see. So just close that off there. So you can see a lot of the data centers there, they have these yellow things around them. So this one here is a wind farm, so you can just click on it. So Azure is actually powered by wind, right? So this one here, it's got 37 megawatts of power. So Microsoft signed up a 15-year deal to purchase 37 megawatts of wind in County Kerry, kind of famous place here in Ireland where a lot of visitors go to. And it's also got, if you can see the other one north of it there, I click into it. So it's got a solar farm as well, and they're getting 102 megawatts to power their data center. So Microsoft is very user friendly where it's getting its energy. And there's another one there north of that then again. So it's another solar farm where they're getting 266 megawatts of power. So that's phenomenal amount of power to power the data centers. So anybody, any questions on that? So this is actually a good lot of stuff inside in this. So I'm going to post
So I
the
have
link.
an
Yeah, go ahead.
so how can we predict this much? I mean, this disaster management. So very quickly, Frank.
How can we predict it? It's very hard to predict it. So you need, like, natural disasters and ransomware things. Nobody knows when these are going to happen. So you just need to be prepared in advance. So that's why I'm saying use Azure Site Recovery or some other backup as thing, because we see some of the weather events that are happening now across the world, and you just have to be prepared. No point waiting for it to happen. Have a plan. Be ready.
Yeah.
And it looks like site recovery is 15 days by default now. It was increased from 72 hours or 3 days to 15 days
Okay,
by
that's
default.
very good. So is that if you delete it by accident, then you can get it back?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very good. That's very good. Because a lot of people are kind of nervous about kind of, will I delete this or is this the right one? So if they make a mistake, they can actually get it back again, which is good.
It's free for 31 days, and it looks like the recovery window is 15 days by default. That's
Okay.
for, I think that's for VMs primarily.
Great presentation, Frank.
Okay, it was kind of
Yeah. So one thing I
kind of
just
cut. Yeah.
Yeah, one thing I just recently for this disaster management. Recently, Indian government launched one new thing. So whenever natural calamities are coming to our end, so we cannot expect, right. So when the natural disasters are coming, right. So that's why they introduce they commun. I mean they will communicate with networkings, like broadband networking. So whenever we are using any mobile, so immediately they give one vibrations. Okay, so with they are predicting is there any how can we say that, is there any natural disaster is coming, on the time they will give you the
Okay, I think your phone is going to beep, right? Is that what? So I think I try to, what he's trying to say. I don't know if you have this emergency beeping in your phone if there's an emergency. So I guess probably that's what he's trying to say about predicting the natural disaster. But in terms of the recovery, right? What I also want to explain, I don't know if he can hear me, but okay, you're back. Can you hear me?
Yep.
I can hear you. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is that in terms of those natural disasters where you can probably say we can forecast that rain is coming, we can forecast that this is happening, that is something you can predict, right? Maybe we say, oh, this is earthquake and all of that. But now when we are looking at this recovery, data recovery, it goes beyond the physical stuffs that we see, right? Like we might be saying, oh, probably earthquake will destroy the data centers. Those are still another way we can recover stuff. But then imagine someone deleting your documents without you knowing about it. Imagine maybe something else just happening. It might not even be like a natural disaster. Imagine something, power is being cut out from a particular data center, and it can come from anything. So those other situations, you can't really predict them. So the fact that we cannot predict them, and I know that I need my file to be highly available, I would just put it in different data centers, right? And if anything is going to happen to these data centers, I don't know what it might be, I don't know when it is coming, then I should be able to have my file. So most times you can't really predict what will happen. Like all this, the ransomwares, you don't know when somebody is going to hack you, or you don't know when your files will be exposed, and then you need to recover them and all of that. So it can just come. So, but the ones that you could probably say, oh, we can predict, those are just part of it. But in general, there are other things that can, factors that can affect that.
Yeah,
So,
like I was saying, you have to be prepared. You can't be waiting for your phone to ping to say there's a thing, and you're going to be scrambling to try and get your data backed up. You know. So I just put the link on the screen there where people can see the datacenter.microsoft.com and Globe Explore, and you can see that globe that I was doing the demonstration on there, where you can see all the regions. So very nice little tool to be playing around with. So, and it's free. So Evelyn, have you something for us today?
Well, I actually don't have anything for you today, but great presentations, everyone. Well done, and thank you. So hopefully I'll present something next week.
Yeah, Solomon was kind of saying we were going to do something all around what was happening at Ignite. Was there something
Okay.
interesting, Dan, that there's no?
There were a ton of announcements around
Yeah.
everything from auto patch for Windows 10 and Windows 11 announcements. There were hardware announcements that are in Azure now, such as his keynote showed 2 new processors that are being introduced. Just, I think every category. Copilot.microsoft.com was released instead of Bing, I guess, branding. It's now copilot.microsoft.com. Still haven't seen much in the cloud.microsoft top level domain. Copilot being released at Microsoft.com was interesting. I thought maybe they'd release it in cloud.microsoft, the new top level domain. But next week, if I can't make it Saturday, I'll queue something up for you to use next Saturday.
Yeah.
That'd be great, Dan. Yeah, appreciate that.
No problem.
I'm really happy for that Cobalt and the Maya introduction about, and the NVIDIA commitment.
Yeah, NVIDIA
Yeah.
was the keynote.
Yeah.
Model as a service now. Superb.
Yeah. So actually, and one thing is, and one more thing is that so previously we saw Microsoft Fabric is a unified analytics platform. So now they will they also combined with new more features like data governance. So data governance, unified data governance like purview and everything, they will be introduced.
And for the AMD, I don't know if you saw the announcement. That's the MI300X that will be having a GPU of, I think that should be 192 gig. I don't know if you saw it. I think that's like the fastest VM that we'll be getting now. The GPU is going to be 192 gig and 1.5 TB of HBM. Yeah. So that's something that, me, I'm the infrastructure guys. I like those fast stops. So yeah, that's something I will also try to look into.
Yeah, have you seen the new Dell server? It's got AI built into it.
There was a
No.
Dell server and a Dell device at their device bar that was doing machine model or large language model computations locally. And it was powerful enough to do those on like a laptop, like a precision laptop type thing.
Wow.
Yeah, it's definitely coming to the data center side, but some of this is also coming to the, the client or the server side for certain.
So this week, then we have so many different broadcasting things for LinkedIn, 3 YouTube, Facebook, Twitter.
Awesome.
So yeah, the Azure AI show is kind of going from strength to strength. I had somebody reach out to me there. I'll just there second now. I'll get it for you.
The interesting thing is YouTube tells you where it's coming from. I think Twitter did the same, but LinkedIn doesn't tell you whose profile. So it's on my profile and Pratap's profile and maybe Solomon's or others, but you just see that it's a LinkedIn comment. So to go find the comment, you have to figure out whose profile it's from.
Exactly. Yeah. So for today, I think we've come to the end, and by next week we should be preparing something around the latest news for Ignite. And for everyone that joined the show, we really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining, and we'll be seeing you on this great show next week.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.
So
Thank you.
we'll be back at the same time as usual on Saturday at 7 o'clock UK time, and is it 3 in the US time?
3 Eastern.
3 Eastern. And Partap, what time is it in India? Late at night?
12. I think probably 12 a.m. Indian time.
Yeah. And I think, Evelyn, is your time the same as the UK? Are you an hour?
Yeah.
1 hour back.
We are 1
1
hour
hour ahead.
behind.
Ahead.
Yeah.
Not
So-
behind.
Okay.
Ahead, yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's not too bad for you. So
Yeah.
okay.
Mhm.
Okay,
Thank
guys.
you.
Talk to you next week.
Take care.
Okay.
Thanks,
Bye.
Pratap.
Yeah,
Thanks,
probably.
Evelyn. Bye, Solomon.
Bye everyone.
Bye.
So next week we can concentrate on Ignite 2023 and some more features.
Sounds perfect.
Probably Dan will represent the whole session next week. So he's the key speaker in that Ignite.